Hey everyone, it's Sonia here. I want to I want to show you this clip from Yuval Noah Harari, where he's going to tell you basically what's coming. This isn't just random guesswork on his part, because he's very much involved in the orchestration of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. He's apparently Klaus Schwab's principal scientific advisor. You can see his bio here on the World Economic Forum website. Professor at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He's an author. He's written a few books. Somebody actually gave me one of them, Homo Deus. I had Sapiens as well. I didn't read either of them at the time. I opened this one and I was like, what is this garbage? I didn't want to read it. I was disgusted. Example, if science is right and our happiness is determined by our biochemical system, then the only way to ensure lasting contentment is by rigging the system. For better or worse, a growing percentage of the population is taking psychiatric medications on a regular basis, not only to cure debilitating mental illness, but also to face more mundane depressions and the occasional blues. This guy does not believe in God. The book Homo Deus, I mean, that's God, man as God, God man. He doesn't believe in God. He wants to be God. He talks about hacking humans, re-engineering them with genetic therapies, drugging them up. I mean, if you're not happy, well, let's just give you some drugs, So I have this clip here of him telling you what life is going to be like in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So let's check this out.
In the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century, what humanity basically learned to produce was all kinds of stuff like textiles and shoes and weapons and vehicles. And this was enough for very few countries that underwent the revolution fast enough to subjugate everybody else. What we're talking about now is like a second industrial revolution, but the product this time will not be textiles or machines or vehicles or even weapons. The product this time will be humans themselves.
What are you talking about? You're going to produce humans. What are you going to do? Make them in a jar? What are you going to do? Clone them?
We're basically learning to produce bodies and minds.
What? You're producing bodies and minds?
We're basically learning to produce bodies and minds. Bodies and minds are going to be, I think, the two main products of the next wave of all these changes. And if there is a gap between those that know to produce bodies and minds and those that do not, then this is far greater than anything we saw before in history. And this time, if you're not...
Produce bodies and minds. Okay, so that's very mysterious. I thought these people were depopulationists. Now they want to create more bodies? Didn't we have too many already?
And this time, if you're not part of the revolution fast enough, then you probably become extinct. Once you know how to produce bodies and brains and minds, so cheap labor in Africa or South Asia or wherever, it simply counts for nothing.
Once you know how to produce bodies and brains and minds, then cheap labor in Africa and South America becomes nothing? This is a guy who talks about hacking humans. So it's starting to sound like he's talking about creating a kind of race of drones, like humans turned into some kind of robots that they can control completely, that they can use as some kind of a slave labor force. Sounds a bit sci-fi though, doesn't it?
And again, I think that the biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people.
How strange. You want to create more bodies and brains and minds, and then the people that are already here become useless? How does that work?
I don't think we have an economic model for that. My best guess, which is just a guess, is that food will not be a problem. With that kind of technology, you will be able to produce food to feed everybody.
Okay, good news. That's the first bit of good news that he's given us so far.
The problem is more boredom and what to do with them, and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless.
Okay, so you're going to have all these people who are kind of obsolete you're going to feed them, very thoughtful of you, but their lives will have become meaningless in his opinion. Remember, this is a guy who doesn't believe in God. So we're just like, I don't know, little kind of sentient little robots or like little ants that really just don't mean anything, which is totally against what we believe as Christians. When we believe in God and we believe that we're made in his image, our lives do have meaning, and they were created by intelligent design for a purpose. But, this guy obviously doesn't believe any of that. So he figures if people become unemployed, then their lives will have no meaning. I guess in his world, that's how it works. You just define yourself by your job and your work. So what is going to happen to these people?
In life, when they are basically meaningless, worthless. My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games.
So he really doesn't think very much of people. Drugs and computer games. I mean, he must think that we're so incredibly stupid that we'll be satisfied with drugs and computer games. You remember that whole you will own nothing and you'll be happy? So apparently it's not only you will own nothing and you will be happy, it's also you will do nothing and you will be happy. And high off your ass. So what is he talking about? So he's talking about the people that are here become obsolete. We don't need them anymore. They don't work, they don't function. Their lives are meaningless, they're worthless. And yet the fourth industrial revolution is about creating bodies and minds and brains. So obviously what this means is just replacing living human beings with robots and AI. That's what this is. We've got AI doing more and more work, replacing more and more sophisticated tasks. At the most basic level, your self-checkout it's like a kind of robot. It's a machine replacing a person. But they have plans to take it much further than that, even replacing tasks where there's usually a lot of human interaction. They had created some kind of robot nurses to visit seniors. They've got robot dogs to patrol cities. Drones. Pretty much probably just about any job you can think of, they can replace with some kind of AI or robotics. I'd even seen songs written by AI. I mean, it can even replace art. So this is what they're planning to do. These big tech giants are planning to create all this AI and robots to replace us as workers in society. And they know that that's supposed to leave us meaningless and worthless. And then they figured they'll just keep us happy with some kind of garbage. I seen some footage from a conference from years ago where someone was speaking, and I think it was him. And he was saying that the big tech companies know that this is going to displace a lot of people in the workforce. Like they just become obsolete. And there won't be a lot of people that would be able to find another career path. And so the big tech companies had decided that they would agree to paying like a kind of tax. And this tax would go to fund a universal basic income. So we're seeing this in Canada now. They're talking about universal basic income. And I was kind of wondering, well, why are you talking about this now? You've been giving people not anywhere near enough money for welfare or disability all this time. You're still not increasing it. It's not indexed for inflation at all. People who are on welfare are still getting the same amount they were getting 20 years ago. And now all of a sudden, everyone needs basic income? What, including people who are working? Why? Well, now you know why. It's because they're planning to get rid of more and more and more jobs. And then they're just going to set you up with some kind of pills, some happy pills, and some GTA. And they think that that's going to be okay. They have to sell this to the public somehow, so they're going to sell it in increments. Oh, look, this is the new technology. Look how great this is. Look how great the robot nurse is. I think the last couple of years helped to give that a big push, but they're just going to keep selling it incrementally, and then at some point people are going to realize, oh, hey, look, we're all out of a job. We have nothing to strive for anymore. We just sit around on basic income. And you can imagine, too, that with the digital ID that they're rolling out and the digital central bank currency that's going to be attached to it, you know, the bank currencies are going to go digital. There's going to be like official digital currency. Probably cryptos, they're trying to get rid of it, you know. Eventually, you know this because they've been telling you this. You won't be able to access anything without your digital biometric ID. And you know from the last little while, there'll be certain things in your ID, in your digital wallet, that will determine whether you qualify to access certain things. So this is a system of 100% total control. And if you don't submit to that control completely, you're just locked out. So this is a guy who doesn't believe in God. I mean, he says to himself, these people are just absolutely godless. Antichrist. So to me as a Christian, though, you know, I'm listening, I'm hearing this, and I'm seeing what kind of people are implementing this. And it's pretty obvious to me that this is the system that's described in the end times. Basically a one world government, but it's not like one country takes over. It's sort of like the corporations create a new system where they're in control. They create their own government. I mean, it's all corporate driven. It's driven by the very, very rich. They create their currency system, their digital ID system, and everything else. And then they just set this up like a web. And everyone is just, you know, stuck in that. There's no way out. I mean, really, it's like a complete abolition of freedom. And he's telling you right there that they're going to replace just about everything with robots and AI. And then they're just going to drug you up and leave you in front of your screen. That sounds really, really just evil to me. But I thought you might want to know. So that's it. If you liked the video, thank you for hitting like. Thanks for subscribing, and thank you for your support on Patreon. That keeps my channel going. Also, I want to let you know, BioTrust is doing the special on Keto Elevate. I love this stuff. This is a MCT oil powder. That's all caprylic acid. So you just put a scoop of that in your coffee or a smoothie or a yogurt, and you get an instant boost of ketones to fuel your body and your brain. And it's, of course, obviously compatible with the keto diet. So if you're interested in that, check out the link below and you can get a really big discount. So that's it, you guys. I hope you found this information interesting. And thanks for listening to me. And I'll see you next time.
The Truth Girls.